Oh, I regret having to continue doing this, but I'm going to have to tell you again that tonight will be my last night reading the news. I've decided I am going up to New Jersey and sing folk songs in front of the courthouse until they drop all charges against Wilson Pickett. But in case that does not come to pass and he is convicted, I still may not be back because my plan is to open a gospel music school in Princeton after that. Now the news. Conversation number 87. Are you doing both parts? Question. Why do not bears have mental problems? Because they're not aware that they're a bear? No. Because they're not aware that they're anything. I'm not sure I get it. Yeah, I know. Tune in next time for conversation number 89. For matters of national security, we'll have to skip number 88. A hiker once stopped and asked himself, if you're lost, is it better to know that you are or not? And for a long time, he couldn't come up with the answer. On one world, everyone lived in a prison. Oh, there were no walls or bars that you could see, but they were in one just the same. An important overlooked objective of all nationalistic, cultural, religious, and political identifications is for the person making such claims as, I am a Slovak, I am a Jew, a Catholic, or a socialist, and so on, is to feel like they are at least somebody, someone specifically identifiable, something, since they all know otherwise. As he had increasingly frequent bouts of alert consciousness, one man mused, the more I see, the more amazing it seems that I lived as long and reasonably successful as I did running on automatic. No matter what you know, if there's this one thing that you don't know, then everything that you do is moot. As a safety valve, life has always allowed men to rail against physical slavery and oppression so as to keep them from getting too concerned over the other form. The leader of one mythical expedition said to those who were beginning to make trips to the destination, tell Buddha and the guys that I sent you. Of course, they treat everyone who gets there the same anyway. Living on automatic, a man has the same chance of survival as does a tiger. Also the same chance of consciousness. Men have long believed that spiritually, if not metaphorically, they are in a battle of some sort. An interesting, even sometimes fascinating idea, but one which at all times keeps man's attention away from something else that's going on. A man once went to a mystic and said to him, if you'll tell me where to find the secret, I'll give you $1 million. And the mystic replied, I have nothing theoretical against such a deal, but it is a waste of time. For if you paid me and I told you where it is, you'd want your money back. As he experienced increasingly times of individual stable consciousness, one man reflected, the more I realize, the more miraculous it seems that humanity accomplished all that it does with everyone running on automatic. And now tonight's question. What is consciousness without a modifier? As meaningless as guilt is, as used by the ordinary, it does have a practical genesis. Okay, hint. Would a well pump work better if it were aware of its function? Okay, another hint. Would it work better if it were just periodically aware? The ordinary dream that they not only have abilities they do not possess, but that they suffer from curses not extant upon them. And more than that, imaginary afflictions which the few actually struggle to achieve. It started out having to do with guilt, if that is of any interest, and how men don't appropriate it in a practical manner. One man dropped out of theology school upon realizing, I already do not lack for a congregation of sinners, plus the part of me that longs for one certainly is in no need of any additional stupidity. Even though life is unquestionably alive, and perhaps conscious totally beyond man's comprehension, from the view of its internal components, all that can be undeniably seen is that the whole thing runs on automatic, and that the local notions of freedom and individual awareness are illusions which cannot withstand even minimal scrutiny. Thus it is that every Moses must get out of Egypt and into the inner promised land to ever gain a wider perspective of the situation. A boy asked his father, is it possible to overrate the seriousness of ordinary existence? And the old man replied, you mean, is it possible to underrate the lack of such seriousness? And the kid's eyes glazed as he stumbled and bumbled. Man is the sole creature who purposefully seeks surprises and non-survival related excitement. Yet even then, he imposes quite confining restrictions. The individual mind can take very little. The collective one of man, little more. On one world, the way life cut down almost entirely on any possibility of the creatures ever realizing their captive mechanical condition was by letting a few of them proclaim to the rest that such was the case. Long ago was once a mystical school which called itself Keep a Head on Your Shoulders, a name that apparently lacked the pizzazz necessary for success. There was also one after that, whose motto was, watch your step. And it enjoyed about the same degree of success. Tonight's meteorological report. Live in the shade, think shadowy thoughts. Tonight's optometrical news. One man could only focus his sight when he remembered to do so. Says one man, the sound of my blood pounds in my head, but not enough to keep me awake. Alas, alack, and rat's ass. A priest once said to a mystic, I have the suspicion that we're in the same business. And since it was a waste of time to reply, he didn't. Some mid-sized game news. Shooting elephants in a barrel is a challenge compared to criticizing man. A man once pondered, does just knowing that you're a captive set you free? But no one who knew was there to give him an answer. According to some secret historical documents just recently uncovered, many law-abiding cowpokes turned to a life of crime upon finally realizing that all herds sound the same. Excitement is a serious business to creatures with consciousness. Labeling the obvious as the obscure has been one of the more deft deceptions life has pulled on man. But hey, I have to accept part of the responsibility. After all, it takes two to tango, said a man, just as life forced him to say. Humanity, the only train known to be running, and with an engineer asleep at the throttle, and with it not making a damn bit of difference. And the speaker so noted to his audience, I think we all now recognize that the most serious problem facing man today is the one he does not recognize. On one of his return trips to visit Muhammad, a man noted, some of my friends who figured out that I've been here to see you say that they don't see what I've done to deserve it. And with a wide smile and a deep chuckle, the prophet could only shake his head and pat the man on the back. To the ordinary, trains whose destinations are never announced are perceived as going nowhere. On one planet, the creatures considered that the more intelligent among them were those who the least mucked with themselves. On the intercom, the voice announced to the control tower, "Coming in for a landing," which caught no one's particular attention since everyone on automatic pilot is always coming in for a landing. The most common use men make of their mind is to explain what they did. Some use, huh? One man says he's reconsidered his past negative views on reincarnation and believes that in a previous life he was either Jesus or John Philip Sousa, since he's obviously awakening to a different beat. A passenger once asked the engineer of his train where he got his training, if indeed he actually had any. Piggyback facts. Dumb people ask dumb questions. Only dumb people have questions. Oink, over and out. The reason that those who might actually deserve to take credit never do is, one, when they're in the state, they're aware that they weren't willfully responsible for bringing it on at that specific moment. And two, whatever they learn while in the state, they can't later take credit for because of reason number one. A man asked a mystic, "Are you sure that creatures constructed to operate automatically will be better off otherwise?" And the mystic replied, "Actually, no, I'm not. Do you have another question?" A man once asked a mystic, "You know what? I've come to the conclusion that mystics are simply people who think too much. What do you say to that?" And the mystic replied, "Can't argue with you there. Is there anything else you wanted to tell me?" Man is the only adult creature on this planet who will go to the same magic show day after day, watch the same tricks performed over and over again, and never catch on. "Okay, places, everyone," announced life as the day's curtain was ready to rise. "It's showtime once again." Ha ha. Since periodically, for some reason, the people who write the news throw in the term "the secret," and it has popped up the idea of, as we all know, throughout the ages, of there being some sort of secret info or some group of people hiding a historically or genetically passed along secret insight, secret knowledge, memory of what life is about, where it came from. Beyond all of that, not excluding it, but beyond all that and somewhere close to it, have you noticed there has historically and continues to be a string of ideas, nowadays very common to find in book titles, and after that, if they're successful, I'm sure they spring into courses one might take, but such as this. Here we go. In the higher echelons of the bestsellers nowadays, you continue to find titles such as "The Secret of Losing Weight," sometimes "The Secret of Making Money." Should we do any more? You do know, it's not funny thus far. Must go in how fast you are nowadays. The secret of losing weight. Again, you're so accustomed to it, you pay no particular attention to it. And it is certainly not meant as a piece of humor. It is not intended as satire or a parody of any kind. A doctor comes out, and they give him some sort of little build-up. They're doing an interview with him and his credentials and the universities at which he has done his research, how long he's been working on this. And then he'll immediately, as soon as they'll shut up, he'll go, "What?" And he'll begin to tell them of how he saw the flaws, how he sensed through his own private practice the shortcomings of all other diets and attempts to lose weight. And so after vigorously applying himself for 2 decades now, the culmination of all of this work is here in this book, only $29.95, The Secret of Losing Weight. And as you know, such things sell in large numbers. Now ask yourself, what is the secret of losing weight? There is no secret to losing weight. Again, if you're just an ordinary, sane person, tied into the overall worldwide network of the collective mind of man, that is now, as some of you I'm sure understand on your own now, is one reason it is literally, verbally difficult to talk about this sort of thing in any specific way. Because now, even though I'm about to point out that the whole idea is ludicrous, literally, there is no secret to losing weight. I mean, it's almost insane from one view. Not from my view, but you can take what ordinary people claim is the proper function, an obtainable function of their mind. In fact, if asked, they'll say, yes, I operate at such a level, if asked. From their own view, it is patently ridiculous for someone to pay money, or for someone to claim, first off, the secret to losing weight. The secret to losing weight. What sane person would have the gall, would run the risk of such public humiliation to stand up to a group of equally sane and ordinary people and say, well, I've gathered you people here today for an important finding, a message I have discovered the secret of losing weight. What sane person would run the risk? He should be, at least metaphorically, stoned and ridiculed and scorned, that people would walk across the street to hear a man say, I'm going to reveal to you, yes, personally tonight, the secret of losing weight. We all understand, we all know that there's a great industry in this. When you get to the bio-survival level, anytime you get below the frontal lobes of man, the idea of there being a secret anything, from one quite valid view, not my view, and if you've got any walking around sense yourself, you see what I'm saying. We're not yet making fun of it. We're not going into, I will in a second, not make fun of it, but of the operational nexus and ramifications that bring this on, of how it's tied to everything. But from a quiet, sane, everyday, ordinary view, to say the secret to losing weight, it's no better than saying the secret as regards food, the secret to staying alive. All right, if you'll make a book out of that, but it's good for one sentence. 2 words, eat food. There is the secret vis-a-vis nutrition to staying alive. Eat food. The secret to losing weight vis-a-vis nutrition. Eat less. 2 words. What a secret. And if you get into people's sex life, again, this gets a little trickier. It's still true, but it's a little trickier because the mind, same as with food, is so involved with sex. And with most people, the mind seems to be, even the proportion of its involvement in sex is even more so. But still, it'd be like this. Just try and sell a book. A man with credentials in psychology, specializing in matters sexual, to come out with a book The secret of reproduction. You ever heard of screwing? Of course, we're going to then have to get into all these minor details about, well, there could be people that have problems. That's not the point. You're missing it already. Snap out of it, sir. All right. Or you could say, here it goes, a man who's an internist or somebody who specializes in some form of medicine, he could come out with a book. I'll cover this will wrap it up. From the biological, the non-neural level, to say, respiration and the secret to staying alive. This would be even shorter. It would be a one-word book. Breathe. Or actually, it should be 2 words. 3 words, I guess, for anybody that would buy it. Breathe, you idiot. Is what okay. I assume that you got the point up till now. This is not, I repeat one more time, you missed the point or you will lose it if you take it as simply some sort of social critique. It is now a part of sane, everyday, the operations of sane, everyday, collective humanity. Weight loss is a huge industry. If suddenly right now, Americans, most of the Western world it seems, we're not very concerned. If the whole idea of losing weight was now if it was done away with, then tomorrow the economy, I'm sure, would suffer an observable blow. There's that many people involved with it, not just one guy here or there writing a book. It is simply part of the woof and weasel, cut and dried. Part of the fabric of modern society is losing weight. Just among other things. I just picked out, as I said, any of the 3. It's just weight seems to be the easiest, but you could use sex, breathing. The whole point about survival, it's ridiculous when you turn it the way I did, rather than the secret of losing weight. But, now notice, from any ordinary view, even though I assume you can see what I'm pointing out this for, from any ordinary view nowadays, it is not funny and it is not ridiculous. Because perhaps your mother, you could have a sister, a brother, a close friend that's right now going to one of these places paying money. It is now an integral part of their everyday life. It is a part of their non-survival life. That is, it's part of their world of entertainment. It's one of their big hobbies now. And one thing with weight loss, so most people seem to claim, is it's a lifelong hobby. It goes up and down. As a new place opens, the one you used to go to, they up their prices, and you go somewhere else, and you buy some kind of exerciser thing at home. It's a constant little hobby. And just because no one can seem to, every time I hear someone publicly speak of it, they will admit. Again, it's one of these things like, I keep pointing out that life will drop its pants right in people's face, and no one ever notices that those involved in the weight loss business will freely quote figures from some prestigious university showing that 98% of all people who lose weight gain it back. And there it is, somebody soliciting you to buy their book or come join their program over at some little business, Elmer Goomblatt's weight loss clinic. And he'll stand there and admit it. And nobody notices because that's not the point. It is now simply part of life. But now I'd like for you to consider it above the bio-survival level. Well, first let's cover it there and then see where that goes. Anytime you hear people say the secret to anything, and I'm assuming that many of you are aware of the fact that the secret of weight loss, of losing weight, for me to use that example as something modern, that is not the first such idea. Thousands of years ago, just normal recorded history, that which ordinary people claim is part of man's background, there has been a continuing series, a non-ending running of people writing treatises, people attempting to come up with a philosophy, and the heading is always the secret of something or other. The secret of leadership is one of the old ones. I was trying to think of something instead of just having to make it up, as if it makes any difference. I was thinking about in the Western world, the known accepted history, that you have several thousand years ago, And it's not just the Western world, come to think about it, the older one than that. But at any rate, the secret of a good state, the secret of the proper leadership of a people. The oldest ones, it was always on the basis back then, it was of warfare or what appeared to be political situations, but we're still dealing with matters of bio-survival because it was a man who is not the head of a wolf pack attempting to write a treatise on how the meanest wolf can take over when the meanest wolf is not even going to read it anyway. That's what all that was, which is still the bio-survival. We're talking about the hormonal overbearing of one to run a pack. It's just that wolves do not elect kings. And many, many humans on this planet, especially right now, wonder how man ran amok and started electing kings. But that's another story. Now they have to put up with it. Yeah, but they're just waiting. They just keep hoping. They keep hearing that civilization is on you, going on the skids, and they go, because they think it does. I'm making business, or I'll be in the business I should have been instead of out here having to wear funny hats and hug babies and say, vote for me. I'll be back like humanity needs me. I'll be fighting to take over. And I'd like to see somebody screw with me. The secret of anything, here is where it comes from when somebody does it. It has to have two components. Now you can take this from the secret of leadership to the examples I use, the secret of losing weight, the secret of better health, the secret of staying alive vis-a-vis respiration. It has to be two components. The first is, it's got to be obvious as a fat man on a bicycle. Second, to achieve it has got to take some effort and attention. It is only under those two conditions that someone's saying, I have a new idea, the secret to longevity. Well, weight loss, that's just as good as any. A guy says, here it is finally, the ultimate secret of weight loss. Of course, throwing in the ultimate means, well, the rest of them, you people bought the books last year, didn't you? He didn't have to ask. You know, yeah. Well, you wouldn't be here. It didn't work, or you wouldn't be here listening to me. This is all tacit. Everyone understands? Yeah. So he says, the ultimate, the last, the final secret to losing weight. It's the same as always. But anytime something is presented and it has a life, that is, that someone does say, here it is, the ultimate secret to losing weight, and it sells. There's no specific definition of this. It just has legs, as us mystics on Broadway say. The thing has legs, it has life for some length of time. That this book sells a little, it has a group of people, it has life for a bit. It becomes part of the human landscape somewhere at some time. If it does, for some discernible length of time, enough that ordinary people say, well, yeah, I remember that book, or I bought the book. By their definition, it doesn't have to be mine. But if there is some secret, whatever it is, but let's say the ultimate secret to losing weight, for it to take on a life of its own, for some observable and apparently some significant period of time. That is, that it sells so much and so many people try it, that it was really a part of the cultural milieu for some time. It requires that there be two factors in operation. That the thing that's being presented as being the secret of so-and-so must be obvious as hell. The secret to losing weight is to eat less. That's the secret. No matter what else you do, anything else is bullshit. Anything else is puffery. Anything else is, under Anglo-Saxon law, usually acceptable puffery, which is legalese for bullshit. Advertising. That's the secret. So it has to be obvious as hell. The secret to losing weight. There's no secret. But the only way, remember, these two factors have to be there. The thing that's being presented as the secret to losing weight. The first factor has got to be that the thing that's being uncovered, the thing involved, in this case, losing weight. The secret that someone is about to reveal, the secret to it has to be obvious as hell. Which is why I picked that out. But the secret, as far as respiration is concerned, to staying alive. What could be more obvious? Breathe. It has to be obvious as it can be, but it must, as far as the people involved are concerned, it must bring on, it demands, the requirement is going to be that you give it some attention. It requires some effort. You understand? Now, the people who are not overweight, losing weight is no problem. So you understand, it is already a foregone conclusion. Anyone who is wanting to lose weight, to them, eating less requires effort, or they would have already done it. You understand? The justice is there. This is no attack on people who are overweight or eat too much, understand? I'm trying to get you to see the secret way in which life operates. The magic show to which everyone attends day after day after day after day, and they see the same tricks over and over and over. They hear the same music over and over and over. And it's simply legerdemain. When the crowd gets a little restless, the same trick, the same song they're going to do again, they change the name a little bit. They call it, all right, I know this may sound like the same song you've been hearing for the last 2 years, but nah, this is the ultimate version. And people go, oh, okay. And they do the same thing. Back to where we were. The two factors required for the, quote, secret to doing anything, for it to become a viable part of life, ordinary existence. The thing to which the secret points, the achievement of it must be obvious as hell. In this case, to lose weight, eat less. All right. But to those who are there and will be a part of this, the secret to losing weight phenomenon, the people who are interested in it, it is going to require effort for them to do the obvious thing, which is eat less. You understand? If it is not your problem to lose weight, or if you don't have to lose weight, then that represents no challenge to you. You're not even interested. I mean, that's self-evident, right? But if you're there and you're going to become a part, you have any interest in the secret to losing weight, it means, it's already obvious. People are not idiots. People know. I say people are not idiots, as always. I speak metaphorically. Well, either that or that caution was allegorical. I can't remember. Well, let's assume. Let's play Albert Schweitzer's brother-in-law and say that people are not complete idiots, and if you point them out, those standing in line, waving their $30, dying for a copy of this new book, The Ultimate Secret to Losing Weight, if you took him and you just walked up beside him and said, by the way, I hadn't seen the book, and he looks like a hell of a nice guy. The book, the cover is real neat. But by the way, did you ever think, this thing about the secret to losing weight, the thing is, you have to eat less. Let's go ahead and assume that people staying in line, they go, well, yeah, I know that. I just want you to see the point. It is obvious as hell. But to them, it requires effort. And they know that, or they would not be involved with it. Then what is afoot? That if we, all right, let's take my fictitious person in line that we snuck up to, that waiting to buy their book, and you go, by the way, I can't resist asking you, am I incorrect? Am I missing something? Is not the secret? I mean, is it not a known fact, physiologically, that if to lose weight, you eat less? They go, yeah. And you say, well, am I missing something? You're about to pay $30 for a book, The Secret to Losing Weight. And I'm just guessing, looking at it, it's in excess of 300 pages. Eat less is 2 words. And they go, well, yeah, I know that. But if I say, well, what am I missing? Then they would then get into something like, well, you don't know my individual, the problems I have. Which are, of course, the ordinary person by then, you've lost it. But now I've already answered it. The problem is, it requires effort. The factors though are there, and they know it. That it's obvious as hell. They don't need somebody to tell them how to lose weight. If they do, they got more problems than obesity or chunkiness. They need to be under somebody's watchful eye. They should not be out walking the streets with money in their pocket. They know that. So why do they participate in pursuing the secret of something that's obvious as hell, which is what the secret to losing weight is? Why do they pursue it? Because they also know that it requires effort as far as they personally are concerned. So, you've got the situation where it's obvious as hell that these people, they're buying the book. They want to go from point A to point B. Point A is they consider themselves overweight. They want to lose weight. So they're going from A, B is to lose weight. To head toward B, part of their plan right now, the center of their plan, the heart of their operation right now is to get up there to the desk, get them to sign it, and buy the book. To have that book and go home by God and do whatever you do with books, I don't know. But to get the book and go home with it, by God. But now note in a reasonable and charitable fashion, well, in a reasonable fashion, ordinary people, they're in line, if we spoke to them, the two obvious factors I say must be extant for, quote, the secret to anything, for it to sell, in the widest possible connotation of the term sell, you understand, for it to become an active operation for some length of time. For anyone to participate in it, for them to become part of it, because it takes an audience, it takes somebody to buy the book, it takes somebody to hear the idea, it takes somebody to wave their hands yes for the idea. So they're as important as the person presenting the idea, the source of the secret. But for them to participate, they are aware of the fact that the secret is not really a secret, that when it says the secret to, and it points to something, lose weight, make money. The secret is not secret. What it's pointing at, the way to accomplish it is obvious as hell. So it has to be that. Or it can't be the secret to so-and-so and it have public acceptance or have any popularity with the ordinary person. It can't actually be a secret. It can't be a revelation of something that was secret. All it is a pointing out of the obvious. So, my people in line, the people who are about to participate and make this become a viable operation for some length of time, they know it's obvious, the two factors. They're obvious, they know that it's obviously what I say that you've got to eat less. They also, it's obvious to them that it requires effort. Now back to where I was, they're going to buy a book, spend a large sum of money, it's a 300-page book, and I can already get them to stand there and go, wait a minute. Am I not correct? Am I that far behind? Is it still not true that the way to lose weight is to take in less calories, less food? They go, well, yeah. You go, wait a minute, all right. Then you would left, using you generically, to stand there and ponder, then why are all these people, reasonable, sane people, college educated, they're here in line, he or she's already admitted to me that they're aware of the two factors. They're aware of what it takes to lose weight, and yet they're about to spend big money, go home and read that book when two words explain it all, eat less. So what is afoot? Think about it a second. Of course, you're not paid to come here and think about it. You're paid to come here and listen to me explain it, right? Is that it? At any rate, here it is. The two factors that are always there, that the thing that the secret is about to, that the secret addresses, the thing itself is obvious. The second one is that the people who participate in it know that to actually do that which is obvious requires effort and attention. So what is afoot for them buying a book which from any reasonable view, not mine, but any reasonable view, their own view, is to say the very least superfluous, moot, useless, meaningless. The only way that such a book would have any validity to it, any way that the book from one view is not absolutely disingenuous, is if the book had two words in it, eat less. Now if somebody go pay $30 for that, and it's 300 pages all blank, well 299, and right in the middle, if you get to one middle page, is two words, eat less. Now you know nobody's going to buy that. You know that. So what's afoot that although two words covers it all, there is nothing else to say. Anything beyond that is absolutely redundant. Absolutely. And yet they're paying the money and they will stand there, and in a sense you can get ordinary minds to see all of this up to now. And then ask them, say, well, what am I missing? You're going to spend $30 and you say you're going home and stay up all night. You're going to take it with you to the beach for your vacation till you read all 300 pages when you just admitted to me that you do understand it's eat less. Is it? And they go, well, yeah. All right. And then, using you again generically, is stand and think, well, what is afoot? Here's what's afoot. It's obvious what to do, and it's obvious it requires effort. So, it doesn't make perfect sense. The only other possibility is, I assume most of you know where I'm about to point to. I mean, well, you better. It's doubly obvious. But if we had somebody in line that heard this much, and I took them that far, and I said, wait a minute. You're about to walk up there and pay $30, and you say you're going home and stay up all night or take it with you for the weekend, and you're going to read all 300 pages faithfully, maybe twice, and you're going to I see you got your little underliner, to make, and you just admitted to me that you understand the secret, the so-called secret to losing weight is eat less. You're telling me that, and yet you're telling me you're about to spend $30 and you're going to step on out reading it. Why? Why? And they can't answer. But they know. I say they know. Here's the way life has things arranged. If someone could get in line, now I'm about to move this, as I assume you expect, far away from losing weight into matters having to do with apparently people's spiritual and intellectual development. This is child's play. That's why no children want to play with it. They go, oh no. That's why I'm glad we're all, what do you call us here? You know, it starts with an A. Aardvarks, adulterers, adjuncts, aqueducts. It's children that are taller. What better way? What a delicious arrangement. You know obviously what to do, and you know that it requires effort. It requires no effort to go along however you're going now. And it doesn't matter whether it's lose weight. The secret to overcoming alcoholism. How about that? Woo! God! Can you make a fortune? I mean, in case people do lose weight, hell, get them drunk and get them back in your program again. The secret, the secret to overcoming alcoholism. Don't drink. And then people go, well, hell, anybody knows that. And you go, well, what am I missing? They go, well, I can't do it. Now, don't say you can't do it. Now, we've been through this, but I'll do it again right quick, because it is still literally true. And the only ordinary time that people ever hear this, and I almost stand here and do some of it, is comedians. Just ordinary, everyday comedians out in nightclubs on television will make jokes like this. And that's the only time the human mind can deal with it, but then it does not take it seriously. And I don't mean the comedians know what they're doing, because anytime you deal with irony, you can make people laugh. To go, hey, people go, boy, I'm sick of, my uncle went, or some guy, I'm just making up some comedian, I'm sure there's a joke. Boy, how dumb people are. My uncle went to a psychiatrist, or went to a Betty Ford clinic and spent $2,000, and they said, yes, we know how to cure alcoholism. Hell, if he'd give me $200, I could tell him how to overcome alcoholism. Don't drink! And people will laugh. And that's the end of it. Sneaky, huh? But back to it. What better way for life to keep things arranged in a certain way? That I'm telling you, the ordinary people, whatever it is, let's go back to losing weight. It's obvious how to do it, and it's obvious to them that it requires effort. Because contrary, if somebody, let's say somebody did slip their mind, and they were staying in line to buy the book, and I said, by the way, am I behind? Isn't the secret to losing weight to eat less? And they go, well, I'll be damned. And they grab your hand and say, and they step out of line and meet them, and they say, I appreciate you pointing that out. That would be a person. And of course, I know it sounds silly, but if they suddenly realize, well, that's all it is. And if they went, well, screw that's book, and they put their money in their pocket and walked out, that means one thing. You know what it is, don't you? They don't consider that it is an overwhelming challenge. To them, it's not a problem. Once they realize, they go, well, hell, I'll quit eating this much. And they're out of there. And that's what, they're out of that game. But those who still stand in line, those who are participating in the pursuit of the secret to losing weight, they know it's obvious to them what the secret is. That it is no secret, in other words. That's why I keep using that kind of oxymoronical statement. The secret to losing weight is obvious as hell. That is, it is no secret. You eat less. But what's also known and obvious to the people who are participating in it is it's also no secret to them that in my case, it requires, God forbid I have to say this, effort. And really effort and attention. Because people can say that they put out the effort, and you suddenly see them the next day and they're drinking a milkshake, and I thought you were going to eat less. and as honestly as they can be, they'll go, and they'll drop it like it was, a drunk with a half pint, and they tell the truth like, I wasn't even aware of it. But though when somebody quit smoking, and you see them a couple of days later, and they're sitting there, and sometimes they even catch themselves and they go, Jesus Christ, I didn't even aware of it. That's the way life has things arranged. They are aware, ordinary people. They're aware, it's obvious what the so-called secret is, and it's obvious to them that to actually execute that secret, for them to exercise that secret would require on their part effort. By their own observation, their own feel of it, I know what the secret is, losing weight, the person thinks, or if it's asked, it's to eat less. And I also know this, to me, that's almost an unachievable aim. So, you buy the book. 6 months later, you buy another book. You leave the group that you're paying down the street or wherever you're meeting with them, and you go to another one. This is not making fun, and it is sort of ironic. It's why you can make it sound ridiculous, and why I continually, for the benefit of those who might just tune it on TV, to point out that I am not being critical. It sounds that way. The mind it takes is being critical. Because when you're dealing with irony, that is, you're dealing with ordinary mind, that it continually, for instance, it looks in the cesspool and goes, that looks like a turd to me. Or they get in the morning and they look east and then go, Jesus, what is that? Folks, give me a break. The two factors to sell the idea of the secret, I didn't get into money, but I bet some of you think, well, that's much more complicated. You went too far. Yeah, right. The secret to investing. If you can't find anything humorous enough on TV about their dealing with your health, like these infomercials or whatever they have of 30 minutes of how to lose weight, send you the book, turn on the ones, The Secret to Making Money in Investments. Boy, now that's really more complicated. So I'm glad. I'm just not qualified to go into that, am I? Can you spell? It's the same thing. Oh, well. Let's get past weight loss then. How about the rest of it? How about the secret to enlightenment? How about the secret to spiritual development? But let's push it to the limit. The secret to awakening consciousness. The secret to the liberation of the mind. Now, we're apparently into extremely more complex and actually incomparable areas now. Because losing weight's one thing. Trying to reach Buddhahood, trying to reach a state of such enlightenment that you see directly into the nature of life. I mean, even I've gone too far, right? I thought you could spell. Well, I heard somebody. There's a woman can spell it. I regret to say, figuratively speaking, since it's many people's, even here, favorite area to consider, that the same two factors are at work. It has to be obvious as hell, and it requires effort and attention to achieve it. Now, I know the outcome of this. I know the way it works itself out in people's lives seems much more complex, because an ordinary person, I can speak for them, could be listening to this now and go, well, hey, for the last 40 minutes, finally, what you're saying about weight loss and breathing and stuff, that almost makes sense, and I can almost pluck at least a morsel of potential metaphorical significance therefrom. But Jesus, to talk about the secret to a man's personal development, you realize we're not talking about wealth, fame, good looks, muscle building, but like his psychological or his spiritual, as they used to call it, development. The secret of enlightenment, which it's always been called that. I even use the term, the secret. I'm writing news items. I refer to the secret. It's simply knowing the truth about life. That's all it is. I always like to pause there for those who like to chew on to go, that's all it is, knowing the truth about life. I always try to peer out and at least imagine somebody at home watching the tube going, oh, that's all it is, knowing the truth about life. And then do a good old 1930 Hollywood double take. What? It would seem to be something absolutely beyond the realm of weight loss. and making a profit in that setting. The secret, people have devoted their whole lives, the canons of so-called metaphysical history. That's the basis of it, is the lifelong struggle. And then the periodic public announcements or after the fact public acceptance that a Buddha, a Moses, a Lao, a Zoroaster, somebody pops up that after years and years of struggle, then the time of enlightenment, Satori hits them and they simply see what it is. Or an ordinary mind that's interested in such matters would completely dismiss me saying it's not that different. At least, I don't mean it's the same thing as losing weight. One may be more important than the other. I don't know. I'm not saying that the two experiences are the same thing, but I'm telling you that the factors involved that makes it appear to be a secret. Because if you tell people, let's jump right quick, we got to, into the area of the very much smaller potential audience of people who take the idea of mysticism, transcendental effort, another state of consciousness. People, as much as we can talk about it, just some group of people who are relatively still sane and yet they're wired up to find this of specific personal interest. They are attuned immediately, it's not in question, for it to be referred to in terms of it being a secret. Even if they found some guru or some school or some light somewhere that's admitted that, yeah, that's what we're involved in. If he says, well, you got somebody here that's actually as conscious as anybody on this planet, anybody that knows what's going on, if they went, well, it's reputed we do, and they fool it. Nah, at any rate, you still accept the fact that it is a secret, even though they admit. Of course, they're actually crude and don't know anything. They'll say that they do. Yes, we're in charge of the secret. It's the only place that we're still involved in the great secret struggle for great power. At any rate, those interested in it accept it again as part and parcel of their reality, their world. The same as people know that there is no secret to losing weight, but they'll go out and buy a book, they'll go to classes, they'll go and join up and sit around and talk about losing weight, as though a discussion group, a support group, as though that has anything specifically to do with losing weight, and yet it does to them. And yet you could jump in the middle of them, or Alcoholic Anonymous, or whatever the groups are, Psychos Anonymous. So if we sit around and all of us fellow drunks talk about it, it'll help. And you go, wait a minute. You mean you guys don't know how to stop being an alcoholic? You do understand. Am I missing something, folks? You understand you don't drink. And they go, well, yeah, we know. Get out of here. We know that. And you go, well, why are you all getting together? And you drive across town hundreds of miles 3 times a week. And plus, what's sitting here talking about got to do with it? They would decide, as they should, that you're less than average. You do not understand modern man. You're not part of the general framework of life. Because to them, that is now a part of it. When, again, it is obvious that talking to other drunks or talking to anybody has nothing to do with not drinking. Other than the fact that they say, well, but mostly we talk about not drinking. And you go, oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. It's like, let's all sit around and talk about losing weight. Well, what's that got to do with eating less? Eat less and you don't have to go out and see them. I mean, give me $30 and save the book. Just give me, I'll tell you how to do it. And they go, it's obvious. Yes. Now back to a higher state of consciousness, the enlightenment, the Buddha mind, all of that. It's obvious to anybody. It's just, well, I say obvious. They take it as being obvious. They take it as a fait accompli. They take it as an integral part of this whole effort that it is a secret. It's a secret, obviously. Well, it's a secret that they assume can be known, or no one will pursue it. That there are the whole point of a Moses or a Confucius or somebody popping up throughout history is that it does happen. That does happen, and so it is a possibility. But to have it continually thought of as being a secret is simply acceptable. And I don't mean that it's some fraud that's been perpetrated on would-be mystics. It has been thought of as a secret of some kind as long as it has been thought of. It went right with it. Now back to, even though we know it's not the same as losing weight. Well, I'll tell you it's not. I'll admit it's not the same as losing weight or becoming sober for the first time. It's not the same. But the two factors that I told you have to always be present for the secret to blah, blah, blah. For that to be operational, those same two factors are still extant in this sort of activity. What are they? I'll repeat them. Thank you for asking. The thing that the secret purports to point to has got to be obvious as hell. Of course, right there, again, even the most mystical or would-be mystically minded minds, as soon as they hear that, if they even follow the sentence, will go, I'm out of here. Because what it is saying is that the secret is not secret worth spit. Which I don't know why it comes as news. The secret is not secret, or the great hidden treasure. It's not hidden worth a darn. And for those of you who can handle it, it's not even hidden. But now think back. The person in line buying the book, we say, what, you're paying $30 to buy a book, The Secret to Losing Weight, when you eat less. They go, well, yeah, I know that. And then you're left with thinking, well, why the hell are you buying the book? And why are you going to read 300 pages when you know 2 words cover it? And I assume you caught it. I just didn't rub it in the ground to you. It is not a part and parcel. Or to put it real crudely, which I can do, but I figured most of you have done it. Since they know it requires effort, it's like distract yourself. You understand? I'll go read the book. I'll go attend the meeting and talk about losing weight, and it stalls off the inevitable. It stalls out me having to face the fact that I got to eat less. I'll go talk to other people about eating less, and they go, God, I can't do it. And you go, me either. And it's like, well, if I keep doing it, maybe I'll finally die before I have to face up to the fact that I'm going to have to eat less. You keep involved in what amounts to a secondary, a side hobby. The main hobby is going to be lose weight. And you're immediately confronted with, if you're ordinary, the obvious way to do it, and then it's obvious to you that it's going to require effort. So, what'll I do? What it amounts to is I'll think about it. But that's too much what it is. That's stiff-arming it. You decide I'm going to run down, I got the ball. The ball is I'm going to lose weight. And you start to run down the line, and you realize who all you got to get past, and stiff-arm, you go, wait a minute. And it's like, let's all stop, we'll go take time out and sit on the bench, and we'll discuss it. And it's like you get all the opposing team, everybody that might give you problems, and like, let's talk about it. It is simply, in one sense, I'm putting it crudely, but it's still valid. It is like a childish putting off of the inevitable. I keep talking about it, I keep buying books, I keep doing this and that, and it gives the sensation that you are doing something. Well, I'm not losing weight, that's true, but by God, look at the money I spent on books. Yeah. It almost works. Well, many people it does work. Well, yeah, I'm still drinking, but damn, this is the third. I am now into the seniors Alcoholics Anonymous group. I'm no longer fooling around those amateurs. I'm now in with the group. I finally found my place. I'm in now with guys who's been in as long as me, who've been drunk for 20 years and in AA for 19 of them. But at least now I'm getting somewhere. No, you're not. Now back. We got any time left? Now back. The secret of life, the thing that all would-be mystics, all the Buddhas, Jesus, Abraham, Muhammad, that which they're looking for. Why is it considered to be a secret? We've got just enough time for me to repeat it one more time. The same two factors are involved. As ridiculous as it may sound, but the same two factors that are functional in the great ultimate secret to losing weight, which is no secret at all. The secret. The secret. The same two factors. The thing that's being pointed out is obvious as hell, and those involved, this is a little less knowledgeable to the people, but those involved know that to actually achieve it is going to require attention and effort. And therefore, screw it, I'll go join a mystical group. Wait, I'll buy a book. Or better yet, those are really slick. I'm going to think on this son of a bitch until I figure it out. Which at least doesn't cost money, and you don't have to dress up and cross town and hang around with a bunch of strangers. You can sit there with yourself, which for most people is strange enough. I feel like it's everyone's duty out there. Cut it. Is that it? Dog get on? Okay.